It's Rick, and today is the very episode he's long dreamed of appearing in. This morning, I gave him $1 billion and explained the only rule: spend it all by midnight. No saving, no investing, just spend it. If even a cent is left, the money is lost, and Rick faces punishment. Time was running out. The first thing Rick did was go to a car dealership and buy 10 supercars at once. These are rare cars, produced in one-off copies. He drove them to the Formula One track and raced them. He handed out the keys to random spectators, then got behind the wheel himself. One of the guests turned out to be a child, and Rick handed him the keys to the coolest car, saying, "Now it's yours." So 20 million had been spent, and there was still plenty left. An hour later, Rick was already in Paris. He remembered he'd never been there and decided to fix that. He chartered a private jet and flew out to breakfast. He rented a restaurant with a view of the Eiffel Tower, paid for the food, drinks, and tips for the chefs. He asked for a meal that included absolutely everything in the kitchen. Half an hour later, the waiters brought out a huge tray filled with crabs, pâtés, fruit, cheese, and ice cream. Passers-by stopped and ate with Rick. It was a great deal and inexpensive for Rick. $5 million for the entire trip, with a whopping 975 left over. Upon returning, Rick went to a private zoo. There were tigers, bears, and monkeys in cages. He bought all the animals, hired trucks, and shipped them to the sanctuary. One parrot flew out of its cage and landed on Rick's shoulder, and he decided to keep it. 10 million had been spent on a good cause, leaving 965 million. Only 4 hours had passed since the experiment began, and Rick had already thrown a party for the entire city. Enormous balloons rose into the sky, and gifts began to descend from them by parachutes. Smartphones, gold watches, envelopes filled with money, everything flew straight into the hands of passers-by. The luckiest ones snagged keys to real houses. There were 10 such mansions, and it cost 100 million. As the 4th hour passed, Rick walked into a jewelry store and declared, "I'll take it all." An hour later, the jewelry was in the hands of passers-by. He was handing it out right on the street. Someone received a ring, someone a bracelet, someone simply cried upon receiving a necklace. So Rick lost another 50 million. More than 800 remained. In the middle of the day, Rick decided to do something really big. He bought an entire residential skyscraper and opened it to everyone. He hung a sign at the entrance, "Move in for free." Within an hour, families with children were already filing in. A homeless man was sleeping against a nearby wall. Rick personally took him to his apartment and showed him where the shower was in his new apartment. Another 300 million had gone. About half remained. By 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Rick found himself in a huge shopping mall. He simply paid for everything in the building and announced that everything could be picked up for free. People rushed into the stores. Some carried off televisions, some carried toys, some gave each other gifts right at the exit. Only 10 million. And how much happiness. By 5 o'clock in the evening, Rick had already bought a cruise ship and immediately opened it to everyone. People went up to the deck, ate ice cream, danced to live music, and sailed away. At the center of the celebration was a loving couple, for whom Rick arranged a wedding right on the ship. All this cost 50 million. 455 left. From the deck, Rick spotted a beautiful uninhabited island. White sand, palm trees, clear water. He found the owner right from his phone, bought the island, and declared it his own. He drew customs in the sand with a stick. At the entrance, he put up a sign, a smile instead of a visa. In the end, he lost another 100 million. While it was getting dark, he figured out how to fulfill his childhood dream and became a soccer player. He bought a professional soccer club and took to the field with them. He played poorly. He stumbled and waved to the stands, but at one point the ball bounced off him and flew into the goal itself. A goal! And he lost $200 million. That evening, Rick organized a grand concert in the city center. World-class stars shared the stage. Thousands of people filled the square. Everything was free. Rick sang along with the performers, waving the flag of his island. After the concert, the largest fireworks display in the city's history began. It lasted almost 20 minutes. At the end, one of the explosions painted a portrait of Rick in the sky. People were taking pictures, hugging and screaming with delight. The concert and fireworks cost 80 million, with 75 million still left. At 10 minutes to midnight, Rick takes off in a helicopter. This is a last resort. He can't buy an island, he can't build a stadium. There's nothing left to do but throw money around. He opens the hatch and starts dropping bills onto the city. They fly down, spinning in the air, clinging to balconies, trees, and roofs. People catch them, climb, squeal, and laugh. It's a real money rain. $75 million, even in the largest bills, is almost a ton of money. A whole truckload. And it's all falling straight from the sky. At 23:59, Rick's hands are empty. He sits in the helicopter, the wind blowing in his face. There's not a coin left. He's given it all away. All that's left is the parrot and the best day of Rick's life. Subscribe, don't be a bore.